The sound that jolted me upright wasn't the steady hum of the fridge. It was the slow, deliberate twist of my front door handle. Click, pause. Then the distinct scrape of a key sliding into the lock. I set my coffee mug down. Heartbeat quick. My townhouse sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac where nothing ever happened. At least nothing like this. Through the frosted glass panel, a blurred figure took shape. Short, stocky hair pulled into a tight bun. Even without a clear look, I knew who it was. Mrs. Dalton, the HOA president, neighborhood watchdog, the type who believed property values gave her the right to judge the color of your welcome mat. I'd heard rumors she carried a master key for emergency checks, though nobody had ever agreed to it. I always thought it was just talk, until now. Almost there, I heard her mutter, the lock giving a quiet metallic click. The handle began to turn. "Mrs. Dalton." My voice came out sharper than planned. The turning stopped. The door cracked open 2 inches, and her face appeared, wearing an expression of polite surprise. "Oh, I was just making sure your door was secure." "HOA safety procedure," she said with a smile that looked forced. "With your own key?" I asked, stepping closer. Her gaze slid past me into the living room. "There have been situations. I'm ensuring everyone's safe." From upstairs came the sound of light, quick steps. My son, Caleb, was awake. "Dad, who's at the door?" His tone was curious, but I caught that sharpness in it, the one that meant he was already thinking, already plotting. Mrs. Dalton's expression softened artificially. "Oh, hello, young man. Just helping your father out." Caleb came downstairs, pajama pants still on, hair sticking out at odd angles. He stopped beside me, studying her like she was a puzzle. His eyes locked onto the brass key pinched between her fingers. "What happens," he asked calmly, "if you use that key when nobody's home?" Her lips parted, then closed again. I glanced at him, spotting the faint grin tugging at his mouth. I'd seen that look before, the same one he had when he set up motion sprinklers to save our tomatoes from squirrels. Whatever was on his mind now, it was going to be much more unforgettable. And I suspected Mrs. Dalton wasn't ready. She shifted on the porch, uneasy under Caleb's steady stare. I could almost hear his thoughts churning. "Well," she finally said, "I should be on my way. Other homes to check." She eased the door shut and strode briskly down the path. Caleb turned to me before the latch clicked. "Dad, she'll try it again." I frowned. "Maybe, but what can we do? She's the HOA president. If I call her out without evidence—" "That's why we get evidence," he cut in. He led me to the kitchen, tugging a notebook from the junk drawer. He flipped to a blank page and sketched a crude diagram of the entryway. "Camera here." He pointed at a corner shelf near the coat rack. "Angle it at the door." Then he drew a big rectangle labeled trap. "Trap?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Not dangerous," he said quickly, grinning. "Just enough to make her think twice before touching our lock again." By mid-afternoon, Caleb had rummaged through the garage and returned with a small battery-powered air horn, fishing line, and the wireless door camera I'd bought months earlier but never used. He laid out the plan like a strategist. Fishing. Line ties the horn to the inside handle. Door opens more than 2 inches. Bam. Instant noise, and the camera records it all. I couldn't help but laugh. "You've really thought this through. It's not just about us," he said seriously. "If she's got that key, she could be snooping anywhere. Someone has to stop her." We worked together in silence, positioning the camera nearly invisible, threading the fishing line so thin it vanished against the trim. Caleb tested the system twice, once with me, once with him. Both times the horn blared so loud we jumped out of our skins. By evening, the trap was ready. Now it was just a waiting game. The next morning I headed to work. Caleb, on summer break, stayed home. Around 10, I got a text from him. She's here. My pulse jumped as I read the next line. Cameras rolling. Through my phone's live feed, I saw Mrs. Dalton approach. Glance around, slip the brass key into the lock like she'd done it countless times before. The door cracked open. The air horn erupted in a shrill blast. Mrs. Dalton's reaction was priceless. The instant it went off, she jerked back as if yanked by a rope. Her handbag flew off, papers scattering across the porch like startled birds. The microphone caught a startled yelp, half gasp, half indignation. "Good heavens!" she cried, clutching her chest. She spun around, searching for the source of the racket, only to realize it was still screeching from behind the door. Caleb sat cross-legged in the hallway, grinning wide. I could hear his muffled laughter through the feed. Mrs. Dalton's eyes darted toward the crack in the door, but she didn't dare open it again. She straightened her blazer, scooped her things back into her bag, and strode toward the street, only to halt when Mr. Consincade, our neighbor, stepped onto his porch. "Everything all right, Karen?" he asked, clearly fighting a smirk. Her cheeks flushed pink. "Perfectly fine, thank you. Just startled by a faulty door alarm." Caleb muted the horn remotely and leaned on the wall, waiting. She huffed and walked off, but not before casting a glance over her shoulder at our front door, like it had somehow insulted her. When I got home that afternoon, Caleb was buzzing with excitement. "You've got to see this," he said, pulling me to the laptop. The footage was better than I'd hoped, clear as day, showing Mrs. Dalton fumbling with the key, her face freezing when the horn blared, and her dramatic retreat. "She can't twist this," I said. "It's undeniable proof." Caleb's eyes sparkled. "What if we send it to the entire HOA email list?" I hesitated. That would be bold, risky, but satisfying. "She'll hate us for it," I said. "She's already been sneaking around," Caleb replied. "She earned it." We chose to hold back, for now, just to see if she'd try again. That night, I saved the footage to a secure drive and locked it away. But Mrs. Dalton didn't vanish. The next morning, I spotted her standing across the street, phone in hand, pretending to scroll while sneaking looks at our house. Caleb, watching from upstairs, muttered, "She's planning something." He wasn't wrong. The set of her jaw told me whatever it was. It wasn't good. The following morning was oddly still. No barking dogs, no mowers, just cicadas humming in the heat. Caleb was at his post by the upstairs window, cereal bowl in hand. "She's back," he whispered, like a scout spotting enemy movement. This time she wasn't alone. Beside her stood Mr. Briggs, HOA vice president, a man who clung to bylaws, like they were holy writ. Clipboard in hand, he flipped pages with pomp. "They're scoping us out," Caleb said, eyes narrow. I stepped outside for the mail, pretending not to notice. That's when I saw it. Mrs. Dalton pointing subtly toward my front lawn, gesturing at the shrubs. Mr. Briggs scribbled on his clipboard. When I walked back inside, Caleb was already waiting. "She's trying to tag you for a violation to fine you," he said. "Classic HOA move." I sighed. "We'll need more than the air horn video." Caleb grinned. "Good thing I set up another camera." While I'd been at work, he'd mounted a second camera inside a birdhouse on the porch. It caught not just the door, but also the yard, driveway, and sidewalk. Perfect coverage. At noon, the feed showed them approaching again while I was gone. This time, Mrs. Dalton didn't try the key. Instead, she slipped something under the doormat. "What's that?" I asked. Caleb zoomed in. "Looks like a notice. Wait, no, it's a warning citation." She'd planted it without even knocking. Sure enough, when I got home, the folded slip was a $75 fine for unapproved decorative elements. The element? The birdhouse camera? She didn't know was filming her. Caleb grinned. "She just trapped herself. We've got her planning evidence." That night, we clipped both videos together. 2 days, 2 oversteps, both on tape. "We send it to the HOA board first," Caleb decided, "so she can't spin it." I agreed. We drafted an email titled Security Concerns, Unauthorized Actions by HOA President, and attached the clips. By morning, Mrs. Dalton's car was gone. By afternoon, whispers spread. By evening, an email reply arrived. The board would address it Thursday night. That meeting was standing room only. Word had spread like wildfire. Neighbors clustered in, groups whispering like a trial was about to begin. Caleb and I sat near the back, his tablet loaded with the videos ready to connect to the projector. Mrs. Dalton entered, chin up but eyes darting nervously. Mr. Briggs trailed her, less sure of himself. "Let's call this meeting to order," Mrs. Dalton began crisply. "First on the agenda, point of order," Mr. Consincade cut in. "Before any agenda, there's a matter of security violations to address." All eyes shifted to us. Caleb rose, calm as ever, and walked to the front. "I have 2 short videos to share," he said. The projector lit up. First clip, Mrs. Dalton using her brass key on our door, the horn blasting, her stumble backward. Gasps and chuckles rippled. Second clip, Mrs. Dalton sliding the citation under the mat, unseen, except by the camera. This time the room murmured in disapproval, crossed arms, shaking heads. When the screen went dark, Caleb stepped aside. "These aren't just about us," he said. "If she did this to one house, she could do it to anyone." Mrs. Dalton rose slowly. "These videos are misleading." "Are they false?" someone from the back asked. She froze. "They may have been taken out of context." That was the breaking point. Mr. Briggs shifted, clearing his throat. "I wasn't aware of the key, Karen, or the citation. That's not protocol." Right then, a motion was made to remove her. When the vote came, it wasn't close. Mrs. Dalton's face showed shock and frustration, but she said nothing as she gathered her things. She avoided our gaze as she left, brass key dangling from her hand until she set it down almost reluctantly on the table. Caleb leaned close, whispering, "Lesson learned." The meeting drifted back to routine. Holiday lights, lawn rules, but the room felt lighter. Smiles appeared. Some neighbors even thanked us. Later, walking home under the streetlights, Caleb asked, "Do you think she'll try anything again?" I shook my head. "Not with everyone watching now." He grinned. "Guess the air horn's retiring." Still, knowing Caleb, I kept it ready, just in case. And that's how one red air horn and a little quick thinking turned the tables on our HOA troublemaker. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next one. Tap like if you think we handled it right, and tell me, in the comments, what's the wildest neighbor story you've ever heard?